Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. It is time for the October progress report of all of the inks that I used in October of 2023. So I had 7 pens and they were these ones right here. And this is by Galen Leather, by the way. I have a 5% discount for them in the description if you're interested. But for October, I went with a spooky tea party as my theme. And I have to say, I was not disappointed. It was actually a really fun time. So we're going to go from top to bottom with the pens I had inked, and I'm going to rate them 1 through 7, 1 being the best and 7 being the quote-unquote worst. Honestly, I didn't have really any issues with most of the pens. I would say there was 2 pens I had issues with, but that didn't stop me in how I rated them. So let's just dive straight into this. So the first pen I had inked up was my TWISBI Eco in the Glow Purple colorway, and this had Robert Oster's Summer Storm in it. And I ranked this one 4 out of 7. Overall, this pen ink combination was really good. The only reason this pen kind of made it in the middle of the pack was because I wrote with a lot of other pens more. I still had about a half fill by the end of the month, or by the time I'm filming this, which is like a week before the end of the month, I guess. So yeah, I didn't use it enough to empty it out, but I did use it enough to at least make it halfway through the pen. So I feel like halfway through the pen means halfway through the pack. I don't know. But it was a good combination, and I would definitely ink it up again. I do love my TWISBI Extra Fine. I have determined that that is probably my favorite TWISBI nib at this point. The next pen I had inked up was my Pilot Metropolitan in the Purple Leopard colorway, and this had Colorverse 𝗦𝗦ှ by Starlight in it. So you'll probably be surprised that I ranked this one 1 out of 7, and if you watched my currently inked in the beginning of October, you'll know that I really had a problem with this pen. When I first started it with it inked up, it would not write. It was super clogged. I wasn't sure if it was because the ink is a shimmer ink and I was having trouble with that, or if there was something wrong with my pen, because my pen is actually very old and maybe it was the end of its life, because I mean it is a lower end pen, and I was really struggling. So I took the pen apart, I saved the ink, and what I did was I soaked the nib and feed for like 24 hours, and whatever dried gunk was in it either dispersed and got rid of it, or the wetness of that, I guess, helped flow the shimmer from the ink after I re-inked it back up. So this was such a fun combination. I actually almost wrote the pen dry because I wrote with it so much. And the glitter in this Colorverse 𝗦𝗦ှ by Starlight is so pretty. Oh my gosh. And it dispersed so evenly throughout the pages. Like all of the writing I did with it, it was just a fun pin for me, and that's why it's number 1, even though it had problems in the beginning. The next pen I had inked up was my Pilot Kakuno, and this just had a Pilot brown cartridge in it. This pen was my 3 of 7, so a little bit above the average. I did write with it quite a bit, and not to the point that it was either halfway or like emptied out or anything like that, but I did really enjoy this color. And I've written with Pilot Brown before, the cartridges, and it was never always exciting. It was just kind of like, it's like a reddish brown color. But for some reason, this time around, it had like shading, and it was interesting to write with, and the color wasn't always brown, and sometimes it started off red and then got darker, and then sometimes it looked more like a wine color. It was so interesting. Like every time I wrote with it was a little bit different, which was not what I was expecting. So this one kind of makes it above average because it surprised me. And honestly, I do love the Kakuno. It's a great starter pen if you want to try it out. They're super inexpensive. They're like $12, I think. Some places you can probably get them for 10. And yeah, they come in a bunch of colors, and I think they only have a few nib sizes, but still a really good starter pen, and I really like it with the cartridges because it's super easy. So yeah, there's that. The next pen I had inked up was my Pilot Prera in Vivid Pink. This is the only pink pen that I own. And it's had Dominant Industries Earl Grey tea inked up inside of it. This combination was my 2 of 7, so I think mainly because this was the most beautiful orange for this month. I recently did my orange ink exploration if you are interested in that, but just this ink is so pretty. I will say Diamine Industry is a little expensive though, just putting that out there. As for this pen, I honestly really dislike that it is bright pink. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought this, like, I think a year or two ago, and I got the pink one when there was a cream one. I think they even have like another neutral one. They have like a black one, I think. And for some reason, my mind went to the vivid pink, thinking I would want that. And I really just, the vivid pink makes this hard to use, but it was my 2 of 7 because of the ink. The ink was so nice with this pen. The next pen I had inked up is my Platinum Preppy, and I had Platinum Citrus Black in this one. So the only reason this one is a 6 out of 7 is just because I don't write with yellow ink that much, and honestly, I love this ink. This is my favorite yellow ink. It's so fun to watch. It starts as this bright yellow and dries down to this kind of like muddy black yellow, and it's just so interesting. And pairing it with a platinum pen was actually really nice. So the medium nib of the Platinum Preppy, which again, this pen is like $5. I was so happy to see all of the shading, and yeah, it was just a really nice experience for the price, and it's still a smooth writer, still a pretty ink. It just made the bottom because I wrote with other pens more. That's really the only reason. The next pen I had inked up was my Lamy Safari in cream, and this had Diamine's Yule log in it from the 2022 green ink vent. I honestly don't have a lot to say about this combination. It's 7 of 7. It sucked. I hated writing with this. The ink, I love. I love the color of this ink. I love the shimmer in this ink. It's a gorgeous ink. This nib was horrible. I mean, I did pick a stub 1.5 just to try it out, and luckily the Lamy nibs are really easy to interchange, so likely what I'm going to do to be able to finish this pen is just remove that nib, put a broad or a medium nib on this pen, and then write with it. But this was the most frustrating pen this month. I had so many problems with it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. It just sucked, and it's the bottom of the pack, and it's going to stay the bottom of the pack. And the last pen I had inked up was my Kaweco Sport in Smooth Sage, and this had, and this one had Ferris wheel press Twinkling Tea Party in it. I love this little pocket pen. This was my 5 of 7, so again, a little bit middle of the pack, kind of like my TWISBI. I love this ink too. This is probably one of my favorite green inks. It is so interesting. It has like a red sheen, and it's like almost this rose gold shimmer to it, and it's dark green. It's so in the Kaweco Sport with the broad nib, I feel like this pen handles all of the Ferris wheel press shimmers I have ever used in it so beautifully. This was a great combination. I loved the green with the green. I don't always match my pen, but I felt like this one was a pretty good match. Obviously, sage is a little bit lighter than dark green, but it's okay. This was still really fun to write with. I did do a lot of headers with this one, and more of like bolder writing, but I just wasn't drawn to it as much as the other ones, so that's why it's kind of like in the middle. I still really love this pen. I'm still going to use it until it runs out of ink, and yeah, not a bad note to leave off on. Overall, I don't think this month was too bad. I think a spooky tea party was a pretty realistic combination for all of these three. I'm so happy that I got the Colorverse Witch by Starlight to work, because if you can see in this little tiny blip over here, it was horrible to start with. It was like barely writing. I still really am happy with the Kakuno as well, and the Pilot Prera, that Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea. So pretty. Yeah. Overall, not really mad at any of them except for the Lamy. The Lamy was really the worst experience. I'm probably going to just put that nib into hiding and never look at it again until I'm ready to try it again. We'll see when that happens, but yeah, it was horrible. I won't ever do that again. And yeah. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about my ratings. I would always love to hear what you have to say in the comments. And let me know if you have any suggestions for future namings for currently inks. I'm always trying to come up with a fun color scheme name, and a spooky tea party was definitely a fun one for me. So there's that. If you're interested in more of my currently inked or other ink progress reports that I have done, or any of my ink swatches, I will leave playlists for that in the description. And yeah, I'm going to leave the video off here. I enjoyed this combination of pens, and I'm excited to move on to my November ones. So yeah, I'll see y'all guys in the next one. Bye.